Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. And tonight, as our special guest, we have Charlene Amoia. Charlene, thank you for being here with us tonight. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, John.
It is our pleasure. And you have a new show on PureFlix called Sons of Thunder Redemption. Before we get to that, as I was researching and watching this show, there was a previous show with the same title, Sons of Thunder, that came out in 2019. Is this supposed to be like sort of an anthology second season to that?
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it. It's really a true spin-off. It has there's a connecting point between the two shows, but none of the characters are the same.
Yeah.
So in the first season, it was about ex-motorcycle gang member who um, changes his life and then seeks out to change other people's lives for the good. And he encounters the lead character in Son of Thunder Redemption after he's released from prison and goes on to try to make amends for all of his past mistakes.
Okay. Now, when you got the project, you play Sandy on the show. First of all, how did the role of Sandy come your way? Did your agent get you an audition? How'd you get it?
Yeah, I got an audition and it had a scene from the pilot episode and a scene from the fourth episode that I had to do, and I banged it out and sent it in, and they offered me the role.
Is Sandy, would you say the role of Sandy is different from a lot of the other stuff you've done in the past?
Maybe so. I mean, she's a woman who has gone through a lot of heartbreak. She is his love interest. They were engaged, and he pretty much left her at the altar.
Hmm.
And she's just trying to move on with her life. And he comes back in and tries to make it better, but she's dealing with a lot of anger and resentment and hurt feelings still. It all kind of bubbles up again. So, yeah, I would say it's a little bit different than the stuff I've played in the past.
Is this, I would say this story, the underlying theme is one of redemption. Like even with your character, Sandy, I mean, we're led to believe you're engaged, about to get married to a guy in a biker gang. So Sandy has come a long way, and here you have him coming back out of jail, saying he's redeemed and all that. And again, he's supposedly found redemption, but you don't buy into it right away. So would you agree that the fundamental theme of this story is about redemption?
Yeah, absolutely. It's about redemption and forgiveness, and that, people can change.
Yeah, yeah. What was it? Was there anything in particular about Sandy that resonated with you personally that you could relate to?
Yeah, sure. I think I can certainly relate to heartbreak and um, disappointment, and not to the level that she has gone through, but and then also having to forgive someone that maybe doesn't deserve to be forgiven,
Hmm.
which I think it's just a universal human experience. So I think it was a very relatable circumstance and character, and it was fun to play someone who, has to go through all of that process,
Yeah,
not wanting to, being stuck in anger and hurt, and slowly how why it is important to potentially give someone an opportunity to prove you wrong, and that people can change, and that forgiveness is the key to healing.
yeah, absolutely. One of your co-stars is Lou Temple. Now, Lou
Yeah.
Temple was a guest of ours a while back, and I got to say, talking to him, he is genuinely one of the nicest guys you will ever meet. What was your experience on set working with Lou?
Yeah, Louis is a very nice guy, and he's very gregarious, and yeah, I think he's got he shares a lot, and he tries to elevate the group, and I think he puts himself he really he just got like great intentions, and so I think he was always looking to be more helpful or to help you out, or how he could service the scene better. And so he's a thoughtful actor. He's been doing it for a long time,
Hmm.
and a really good guy.
Overall, how would you say the environment is on the set with the whole crew and the rest of the cast? You guys get along? Has it become a close knit family bond?
It was a really, really lovely group of people, like as a collective, just really nice people. I think they did a really good job, especially in the crew. And because we were shooting so much in such a little amount of time, and we were shooting the episodes out of order all the time, um, it was just a heavy task load. And I think because everybody, wanted to make it the best they could, and I think we all really did work well together, and that everybody was on the same page in that. And so yeah, and because there was a lot of challenges that come with shooting something so quickly
Hmm.
and so much material. So yeah, I would say it was a great group of people, and that everybody worked together really well.
Now, Pureflix is releasing this one episode per week. It's the whole season has not dropped. So the season one is 6 total episodes. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in your career, you have done a lot of various different characters and a lot of different genres, from horror to situational comedy and How I Met Your Mother, which, you're really known very famously for. Some of your horror stuff, you've done The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. You've also done Fear Street as well. Talking about The Conjuring and walking into the Conjuring universe, you played Judy Glatzel, which was the matriarch of the Glatzel family. What was it like walking into that franchise?
It was really exciting because I just loved the franchise so much. I was blown away by the first Conjuring movie. Um, for a long time, I actually watched it first because I was doing an independent possession horror movie, and so the cast and the director and writers would get together and just kind of watch a lot of horror films and talk about them and steal ideas here and there. And so I was really disturbed by that movie. It just sat with me, and to the point where when I was going to sleep at night, I was afraid of my legs getting pulled out from under the cover. So I just felt like that movie was so well done. The script is so tight. It's such a good story, even outside the genre of horror.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed by it. And so when I got cast to be in it, I was thrilled because I didn't feel like, I was like, man, out of all the horror franchises to be in, this is, in my opinion, one of the best.
Yes, absolutely. And you could thank James Wan for that. Now, like all the Conjuring movies, they're based on events that are loosely based on events that actually occurred in real life. No different in the one that you were in, The Devil Made Me Do It, on the whole Arnie Johnson, Glatzel family, and the murder that took place. You playing the mother, Judy, of Debbie, who was engaged to Arnie. Did you do any kind of research into her, into the role, into the story of what actually happened?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was able to call her, the real Debbie,
Mm.
and Arnie, and speak with them, and they were very generous with the information and their experience. So I got to talk to them for about an hour before I even walked on set, and so pull from the real truth of what happened to them. And also they ended up showing up a week into it or at some point, and we met them. So it's for an actor to be able to meet the real people and have that as a tool is a real gift.
What was the most important thing for you in portraying Judy that you absolutely wanted the audience to see?
I think this was just a traditional family at that time. I mean, the case is based in it happened in Connecticut in 1981, and so she was like a stay-at-home mom and raising several kids. You only got to meet two of them in the movie, but there were
Hmm.
more. And just she loved her family. They were a good family, and they just went through this horrible experience. So um, not any different than any other family could go through.
Exactly. I've spoken with Steve Coulter as well, who is also part of
Yeah.
the movie, and he would describe it like between takes with Vera, and you guys would just like have a blast. And is that how you would describe it? Just a lot of fun shooting it.
Yeah, Patrick Wilson is exceptionally friendly and nice. And my husband was played by his real life brother, Paul.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, it was a really nice vibe. They have family on set and get to create this thing together. And I felt very comfortable there and welcomed. And there were a lot of scenes that didn't make it in the movie
mm-hmm.
that were much more emotional. They switched some stuff initially. The villain was going to be a character called the Beast, and that's how we shot it. And at some point after editing, they decided to instead make it the occultist, this witch.
Yeah.
So all of that stuff was rewritten, and a lot of those scenes were reshot. And it was, deep into the COVID time. So often they would, try not to have too many cast members there, trying to be very cautious. So there was a lot that changed in it. But yeah, overall, I think, it's a great movie. It's always going to be a great franchise, and it's great to be part of it.
I did not know that they totally redid the ending. That's new information to me. Now, you
Oh,
were
yeah.
also in the very, very popular show on Netflix, the trilogy, Fear Street, the first one, 1994. What was that experience like?
That was really fun. Those movies originally were supposed to be for theaters, and they
Hmm.
were going to, and again, because of COVID, there was just a change and they got bought by Netflix, and that's how it happened. But they were going to be released each movie in 3 consecutive months. So it was the opening sequence, which it was sort of a tribute homage to the Scream trilogy,
Yeah.
and to be really recognized early on, oh, that's what this is, and these are very fun slasher movies and the kind of movies I watched when I was growing up. So it was great to work with Maya Hawke.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, it was Lee, the director and writer, is a great creative, a really amazing human being, very nice person. So it was an exceptional set to be on.
Do you have I don't know, do you have a lot of fun playing in horror movies? You said you watched slasher movies growing up, so I assume you are a horror fan?
I was as a kid. I was really into them. I loved the Nightmare on Elm Streets, and I loved the Exorcist movies. As an adult, I stopped. I got at some point, like I think watching The Conjuring, in fact, it just really started to like,
It
oh man, this
messes
is
with you.
messing me up.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I just started to get a little bit more particular about what I'd watch, especially like if I was living alone. But yeah, as a kid, I found them to be super fun, and for whatever reason, they didn't scare me like they do as an adult.
Well, that's unique. I don't hear that very often. What did you think about how Fear Street was ultimately released? One movie per week. Never really been done before. A trilogy released in a 3 week time span, but it worked out. What did you think of that when you first heard that's how they were going to do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because so much has changed and so much continues to change, with the streaming platform. Um, I think it would have been great to have them in the theaters, but like, the past couple years, this just really isn't a good option,
Hmm.
for people to feel safe, and everybody's got their home screens now.
Exactly.
And so I think it was a great solution for our time,
Yeah.
and it seemed that the audience really loved it.
Now, being a veteran in this industry, and like I said, you've played a very wide spectrum of roles. Which role particularly stands out and is near and dear to your heart?
Well, man, I'll say as an actor, like I still love what I do, and each job has a special place for you. Not to be generic in the answer, but it's like, oh, it's a new dive into a psyche, into development of character, and um, like with the series recently, the great thing about that is there was so much more time to have with her, and not just like a one-off on a show. But I've always loved comedy, and obviously I love doing How I Met Your Mother, but I've loved all physical comedies. So I've also really enjoyed doing kid shows, and I did an episode of iCarly back in the day, and
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that so much because there's more room to be silly and bigger than life,
Yeah.
which is just fun to do. Um, I also like, some of the procedurals that I've done have challenged me in ways. Like I just did a guest star on Major Crimes years ago, but it was a very emotional role, and it was something that I was like, oh, I don't really know if I want to go there, because
Yeah.
I'm going to be crying all day long over and over again, and that is what it was. But it was a great challenge as an artist um, to do it,
Yeah.
to ask of yourself something more and to live in the moment truthfully, because these experiences are experiences that people have. And
Absolutely. And you have been in, like single episodes of a lot of hit shows. And I've asked this question previously to a lot of other guests. Uh, some say it's hard walking onto a set for a couple of days with an established cast. Others say, it all depends on the regulars, the leads that are there, and how they make you feel when you're coming in for a couple of days. What has been your overall experience walking onto these sets on these hit shows with established characters and actors there? Have you found it to be mostly very welcoming, and or is it 50-50? It depends on who's there and who's not there.
I think I've been really lucky because I have heard some horror stories or some sets that are really uncomfortable, and I just haven't been on them. I've had really great experiences. There's the shows that have been on forever, like NCIS,
Mm-hmm.
and I have done a guest star in each of the NCISs. So the last one that I did was the original NCIS, and that one has been on for like almost 2 decades. So it was such a well-oiled machine, and people are so comfortable and kind. And I did Grey's Anatomy, in its 14th season, and again, I just find that everyone kind of it has this flow in it after it's been going for a long time, and the show is a success. There's less anxiety and worry, and yeah, I have not had a terrible experience on any TV show, and I think that has a lot to do with luck.
Well, yeah, yeah, it does. I mean, we all heard stories, but it's luck. And I mean, for me, the stories that I've heard from actors, it all depends on the cast and who's there and the environment that's on the set. And the majority of the stories is everybody's welcoming. It's like a big family, but I can totally see on some cases where that may not be the case. So, yeah, luck, probably a little bit of it. Now, moving forward in your career, has is there anything that you have not done that you want to particularly try to tackle? Any kind of role? Like I said, you've done situational comedy to horror. You've done drama where you've had to go in and cry all day. Is there anything that you have not done that you really want to try out?
I mean, action. I've done a little action, but not a lot. So I would love to do some of that, but I also would just love to do more comedy. I would, like a really meaty role where I can, it's situationally comedic, and you get to really make fun of yourself each week.
And so, you would say that comedy is your comfort zone. That's where you feel most comfortable and where you could really shine?
That's where I just enjoy it the most.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that's at the end of the day, that's what really matters.
yeah,
Is to have fun, and you go out there and you get to play characters and you make a living off of it. And what more can you ask for?
right.
It's a great job, and it sounds like you've had a great. I mean, you are having a great career. There's a lot more that we are to see from you moving forward in the future. Are you excited for what the remaining three episodes on Sons of Thunder have to bring? And, are you excited for the audience to view it?
Yeah, I think this next episode coming up called Date Night, it's episode 4, is when things really come together and you start to see the new world and the change and possibility. And so I think it's one of my favorite episodes of the series.
Awesome. And guys, if you guys have not heard of it, the show is called Sons of Thunder. It is wait, I should correct that. Sons of Thunder Redemption. It's available on PureFlix. So if you want to watch it, an episode drops every week. There's only 3 episodes out so far. I want to thank Charlene Amoia for being our guest tonight. Thank you so much. I want to thank our audience. Are there any final thoughts you want to share before we go?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you. If anybody wants to stay in touch, I'm on Instagram at charlene.amoya, and I'm also on Facebook.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again to our audience, to Charlene. Stay safe, and until next time, stay walking, guys. Till good night.
Good night.